Have you ever felt like challenges have come your way and you can't handle them? Everybody has challenges in their life. But the point is how we choose to face those challenges. Whether we do it with love, or whether we do it by being open-minded, or we just accept them for what they are. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest. I met my wife, Christina, and we both had 2 children from our previous marriages. And we decided to have another child together. So raising 5 children is already a challenge enough, don't we agree?
Amen.
But 3 of our children turned out to be a little more challenging than the rest of them. Our middle son, Walker, when he was in 2nd grade, started out the year okay. A few weeks in, we get a call early from the teacher saying that she would like to have a parent-teacher conference. So we go to the conference, and we learn a few things about our son that we didn't know. It turns out that Walker had developed a habit of licking his arm in class. Not really sure why, he just started doing it because of nerves. So a few weeks go by, and we get a few more phone calls about other things that are happening. And Walker comes home one day, just crying his eyes out, upset, don't know what's bothering him. He comes in, Mom, I can't do it. Walker, what's wrong? I can't do it. I can't write sentences. I just can't do it. Well, I don't understand. So he just starts bawling and crying in tears. He's uncontrollable. He can't stop him. So Christina grabs him nicely and takes him to the table and comforts him and sits down and they begin to talk. Now Walker is always been a linear child, very rule and regimented oriented person. So you give him a rule, he does it, and it's over with. He has to follow these. Now Christina sat down with Walker and went over the rules of sentence structure. There's nouns, verbs, adjectives, etc. And as she started to teach him these things in a better understanding and slow it down, he started to get it, and you could see it in his head that he was finally getting it. Now a few weeks had passed and behaviors had come up, and Christina and I were starting to worry about things. So she started to do her own home diagnosis. And she came up with the theory that Walker had Asperger's syndrome. So she looked into it more and we decided to take him to the doctors. Not 3 minutes into the interview, the doctor looked at both of us and was shaking his head saying, I totally agree with your diagnosis. He's showing all the symptoms. Let's talk about this. Here's what we need to do to help you guys correct it. Now Asperger's, if you don't know, falls under this big, huge umbrella as part of autism. So it can be helped, and it's different for all kids. Now these children are usually really smart, but the problem is they're really socially inactive and they're awkward with others. Now with Walker's arm licking and his problems in school learning how to do things structurally wise without all the extra help, it's part of their it's part of the structure and the symptoms of the disease. Now most of us can go from A to B to C. Now for an example, Walker with a pen is A, and then most of us take our cap off, and that's B, and then you take your pen to paper, and that's C. In Walker's case, with Asperger's, Walker forgets the B part. So he has to be reminded. Now some of the bigger problems that we have with Walker, the challenges we faced with him was homework. Because what kids would do for half-hour to hour homework, Walker would take 4 to 5 hours because he would need the extra help and he would lose focus. With Asperger's, kids tend to focus on one thing at a time, and that's all they focus on until they move to the next step. And then when that's done, they go to the next step. So we had to help rethink him how to redo his phrases and get him ready for society to hope that one day he'd be able to drive, one day he'd be able to have a job, one day he'd just be able to be out on his own and take care of himself. And through the years, with love and acceptance, we help Walker stay on focus. But then life decides we're going to throw a few more things at you with another challenge with our daughter Willow when she turned 13 years old. When Willow started junior high school, one day in class, she passed out. We get a call from the nurse's office. Paramedics are here. They need you to come get your daughter, and we need you to come talk to them. So we rush to the school, we get there, and we talk to the paramedics. They don't really tell us anything except that we need to get Willow to a doctor and have her checked out. So we do. We get her an appointment right after school, and the doctor runs some tests, and he asks her a bunch of questions about what happened. They take some blood tests, and the doctor determined that Willow had what they call a focal seizure. Now he said this could be an isolated event, or there could be more to follow, and they have followed over the last 5 years of her life, very consistently. Except they stepped up to a grander scale called grand mal seizures. Now for those of you who don't know what seizures are, let me explain. The brain sends a lot of commands to your body, and your body tries to do these all at once, and it attempts to follow everything, and it scrambles your brain in the electronics, and it causes you to have a seizure. Now there are several different types of seizures, the focal seizure being the most basic, which basically the person, they just kind of blank out and they don't see anything. They're there, they snap out of it, and it's over with. Grand mal seizures are the more extreme seizures, and they become with violent convulsions, guttural roaring when the person's down struggling, and it makes it very hard to breathe. And you have to protect that person so they don't hurt themselves. So you get down, you cradle them, you turn them up so you breathe, make sure they're not hitting anything, so no danger comes to them. Now some of the the challenges with Willow is the fact that she's never able to be alone because there's nothing that can pinpoint her seizures. And the funny thing about seizures are that seizures is a medical term that was made by doctors way back, and I apologize, I don't have the exact time, but it was a word they came up with for not understanding or not knowing what causes it. Because they really, to this day, only 5% of seizures that happen, they have explanations for. 95% they don't. So, other part of her challenges is that Willow was never able to ride her bike by herself. One of her brothers or sisters or somebody had to be with her. She was never able to hang out after school with her friends or join clubs or do any sports or anything like that because of the safety of her being able to come home by herself. Her friends had to come to our house because you never knew when she was going to seize. And when it came to sleepovers, me and Christina felt we didn't want to inflict that on somebody else's parents that had no idea what it was or having to deal with that. Because again, if you've ever seen anybody seize, it's a really scary thing, and if you don't know how to do it, especially when it's one of your own children, let alone somebody else's that you were taking care of. She will always have to rely on her family, public transportation. She'll never be able to drive a car unless she goes 6 to 8 months without any seizures and without being on any medication. And once again, we learn to deal with this through love and acceptance. Life once again decides that for a totally challenge for our third daughter, our oldest daughter, Michaela. Now Michaela has always been a tomboy. She's always hated, I use this word true, she's hated skirts, dresses, anything girly. She's never wanted anything to do with being girly. When she was older, we let her pick out her own clothes, and she always wanted to wear boys' basketball shorts and high tops and tank tops and t-shirts. She always wanted to dress like a boy. In fact, all of her friends were boys. She liked spending more boys because she felt more comfortable with them. Aside from the clothing, she didn't really hang out with girls, but she liked girls. And she came to us one day in junior high school and wanted to have a conversation with me and her mother, and we sat down. And she tells us, Mom, Dad, I like girls. Okay, and we know you like girls, you're a girl. She sees the confusion in our face, and she's all, Mom, Dad, I like girls, I'm gay. Surprisingly, we weren't really so shocked about it because we kind of had a feeling inside with all the mannerisms and the things she did or didn't do, so we didn't take it that way. But we felt that she showed so much courage for coming to us at such a young age. So we accepted this with love and acceptance. About 2 years ago, she came to me and Mom again and wanted to have another conversation. And she told us that she was transgender. And for those of you who don't know what transgender is, it's the best way to explain it is Michaela is a girl or a boy who feels like she's trapped in a girl's body. That's the best, easiest explanation for transgender. Now, this has required a lot of adjustment on our part. She asked us to quit calling her her. She asked us to quit calling her Michaela. She wanted her name to be Landon. So she wanted her brothers and sisters to call her brother. So it's been a big adjustment for everybody. This was our daughter, or son, that's asking us to love him unconditionally and accept him for what he wants. We chose to give him everything that he wants and needs, and as many in the world is known as we could either be disgusted or disowned or choose not to handle it the right way, but we chose to handle it with love and acceptance. Every time we say she winces and looks at us. Every time the word Michaela comes out of our mouth, she sighs. Really, I can't respect what I ask you to do. But it takes time. It's nothing that's going to happen overnight. Again, with love and acceptance, we continue to help her with this process. In conclusion, our choice for all the challenges we have faced was to do so with love and acceptance. We believe even through an uncertain future with our children and the triumph of our children's challenges that they will be able to lead productive lives. And I stand before you tonight and encourage you to keep an open mind and heart, and please make the right decision when it comes to whatever challenges you face in your lives going forward. Mr. Postmaster.